Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting session by Digital Vidya on how to optimize your online presence for 6 times growth in sales. Today's session is by Advait Sehdev. He is the author of best-selling book Thirst for CRO, which covers cases like how you can optimize your website to increase your leads flow or sales via spending the same budget from same amount of traffic. During the webinar, Advait will throw light on how you can optimize your online presence and how you can witness growth in sales. Over to you, Advait. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. So let me share my screen and once it is available, I'll get started. My screen is available, right? You can see my screen, Divya?
Yes, we can.
All right. So, hi, everyone. The topic of today's presentation, how to optimize your online presence for 6 times growth in sales. Now, before I jump into the presentation, let me give you a small background of what we are going to cover and what we are going to talk about. So essentially, what happens in today's world is that most of the marketing effort is focused on getting traffic, getting good quality traffic. How do we increase our reach? How do we increase our awareness, and so on and so forth. One of the most important aspects that is not really covered or not really touched upon by a lot of marketers is what do we do once that traffic is on our website? How do we optimize our website? How do we optimize our landing pages? How do we make sure that the people who have come and visited our website or landing pages get converted? And that is essentially what we are going to talk about today, right? Let's look at traffic source, for example. How do we differentiate the traffic source? What do I mean by traffic source, and so on. So when you look at traffic broadly, and I'm looking at traffic from a business perspective. So for example, if I'm running a business, now in this entire presentation, I want to take an example of a very simple example. Let's take an example of, say, I'm an educational institute, an institute who wants new students to sign up for its latest course. Right, it's a certification course, and that course is available offline, but it is advertised online, and students have to essentially fill up an inquiry form saying that they are interested. They would fill up their details, for example, name, email, phone number, which course they are interested in, and then that information will be passed across to a team, which is a customer support team. The customer support team would give a call to the student, the interested student, and understand what exactly they're looking for, what they're doing currently, what are their growth aspects, what do they want to do in the future. Tell them about the course, the fee structure, uh, uh, and they would ask them to come and visit one of their centers for a free demo course, meet the teachers, understand more about the course, and get enrolled. So that is the business that I want to talk about. It's a very simple business. You would have seen lots of educational institutes following the same business model for enrolling new students. Let's look at the source from a business perspective, and in this case, from the business of an education institute. Now, at any given point of time, there are two types of users online who the business would want to target. There are active users and there are passive users. Now, what I mean by active and passive is that active are the ones who are looking for your service or product at this point in time. So, for example, all the students who are searching for your course, who want to get educated, who want to enroll in your course, who want to take that certification, or something close by, it need not be the exact course, but a similar course also, they are all active students or active customers or active users. Passive users are the ones who are not interested who are not currently looking out for the course, but if they get to hear about the certification course, they might be interested. So any and every student who's active is defined when they're searching online. Because if I am interested in a course, the most obvious thing that I would do is I would go to Google, or in case of e-commerce, I would go to a price comparison site or any such site, and I would be actively searching for the course or for the product or the service I'm interested in. So here are a few examples of the source. The kind of details that I can capture as a business about the active user is what is the source, where are they coming from? Are they coming from Google, a search engine, Bing? Are they coming from a price comparison site or anything else? What are the keywords that they're searched for? Right? I can capture that as a business, and that is of immense value to me, because if I know that a student is searching for a Java certification course, whereas another student is searching for a certification course that will get him a job, another student is searching for cheap online courses. Right? Now, these are three different types of users. Now, if I understand that the first one who's looking for Java certification course, he's very specific. He knows what he wants. He's come to my website through a search engine. I've captured the keyword, and then my sales representative or the customer support team can address his query in the same manner, because they know he's looking for a specific course. Now, if a student has mentioned cheap online course, then the pitch becomes slightly different. Then the customer support team or the sales representative team talks to the student more in terms of the discounts and the offers, and how this course is more economical as compared to the competitors. Search, I've talked about. Location again matters a lot, right? Is the student now I'm not just talking about the city, but also the very specific location of the student. What is his pin code, or what is his area from where he's searching? Right. Now, is the center close by? Is the center far off? That again will determine how the student has to be talked to. If the course is if the course is being held in an area which is very close to the student, then the sales representative would invite him to the center immediately. If not, he would advise him that why don't you take a look at a few courses which are uploaded, for example, on YouTube. Right? Display targeting is another way by which active source can be targeted. So is retargeting. If anyone comes to the site and leaves without doing, they can again be targeted that way. Day and time are other segments by which that particular source can be targeted. Passive sources, as I mentioned, sources where we have students who are not actively looking out but fall in the target group, right? Fall in the prospects. So where to target them? We can target them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social media. We can target them by age, by gender, by location, by interests, by life events. Right? Somebody has just completed a graduation. Somebody has just taken a particular course or so on. We can target them by devices used. Now, this may not be very useful in our example of educational institute, but it is useful to identify. So, for example, if I am selling a product which is for iPhones, then I would use the devices used as a differentiation. So the key essence of this particular slide is what I want to highlight is that when you look at source has a lot of segments, a lot of differentiation, and the idea is that you use that information to target accordingly. Now, let me take another example. Now, if you look at gender, for example. Now, if I know that the person who's coming to my web page is a female, I can show a different version of the page as compared to a person who's a male, right? If I know that the location of the person is, say for example, Delhi as compared to Mumbai, I can show a different version of a landing page as compared to the second user. If I know that the person is interested in, say say sports, as compared to reading, I can show different kind of an image or a landing page when the person comes to my landing page. And I'll talk more about this in detail. So let's move on. What is landing page? Very simple, and why optimize it? So let's look at a very simple example. I think all of you understand what a landing page is, but let me just quickly highlight a couple of examples. Now, if you look at this particular image, it's just an image of a landing page. Now, landing page is a very specific page for a very specific purpose. It need not always be the home page of the website, but it is a page which is very action oriented and which is essentially where we want the user to land, and that is why it's called the landing page. So for example, here we want the person to enter his name, email, password and get started immediately with an online survey software. We mentioned that the person doesn't need any credit card, there are no obligations and so on. It's a simple 3-step process. So it's a very basic example of a landing page. You would have seen lots of such landing pages and even designed many of them. Let's look at another example very quickly. Here's another example. Buying investments, why you should invest in a vineyard. Enter your name, email, phone number, country, and download a brochure and so on. Right? You will also win a pen worth 1,200 pounds and so on. This is another example of a landing page. I just wanted to quickly show you because if any of you have any doubts, this should clarify what a landing page is. Now let's look at a very simple example of what is the benefit of optimizing a landing page. Now let's look at one example before optimization. Let's say the cost per visitor was 7 rupees. So which means due to paid advertising or any other method, the cost per visitor that came out to 7 rupees. Conversion rate on the page was 2%. So the cost per conversion is the conversion rate on the page is 2%, which means 2 out of every 100 visitors convert. Now what I mean by convert? Convert is purely a business goal. It is determined by what is your business goal. It can be a sale, it can be a lead, it can be performing the desired action that you want on the particular page. Let us say, let us stick to our example of education institute. So the conversion rate of the page of 2% means that 2 out of every 100 students who came to the page or 100 visitors who came to the page fill up the inquiry form. That means 1 out of every 50, and the cost per conversion is 350 rupees. After optimization, so a lot of optimization is done on the page, a lot of changes are done on the page. We will talk about that in more detail. The cost per visitor remains the same because we are not talking about optimization of how do we get the traffic. We're talking about optimization of how do we improve the conversion rate on the page. The conversion rate increases by 6 times, and which is what this presentation is all about. Goes to 12%. The cost per conversion comes down to 58.33 rupees, which is 6 times lesser than 350 rupees. Now, to a business, this is a huge benefit because suddenly their cost per conversion has decreased from 350 rupees to 58.33 rupees. Now, that is what every business wants to achieve, right? They haven't cut down on the visitor cost. They haven't increased any offers, or they haven't done anything special. They can still get the same amount of traffic, but the cost per conversion is so low that it is a must do activity for any and every business. So now let me talk a little bit about what are some of the optimization methods to improve the conversion rate, and I will only talk about a few in this presentation because the list is endless. There is no upper limit in terms of what all you can optimize, but I will talk about a few which have had the maximum impact in my experience. Now let us look at the first one. The first one is belongingness, create a community. Now what I mean over here, I'll again share that with an example. The Education Institute page that we're talking about, right? The page holds certification codes. When we started doing the project, there was a simple landing page. The landing page had an image. The image had details of what are the course details, what is the curriculum, what is the duration, what is the fees, and the standard set. All of that was there. And of course, there was a discount, there was early bird offer, and so on and so forth. The landing page was doing decent, like you said, 2%, like you saw in the previous slide, it was around 2%, which wasn't very bad. Uh, so we thought that there is something very basic that is missing on this page, and we started looking at it from the perspective of a student. Why will a student come to this page and fill up the inquiry form as compared to 10 or 20 other competitors who are offering the same course? There was something missing, and we identified that as belongingness. What we understood was these students, most of these students had just passed out of school. They had not entered colleges, or they had entered colleges but not very interested in the courses that they were taken. So they were the age group of around 70 to 20, and they had just come out on their own for the first time. What we said was, let us give them the feeling of school back, which they have loved so much, in the form of images. Now, we put up a lot of images of the educational institute where students were interacting with each other. It was not just about the certification course, but it was about interaction, it was about play, it was about having friends, it was about forming a community of students where you go to a place not just to learn, not just to take up a course and get a certificate, but to make friends, to enjoy it, to have a life. And that is the sort of theme that we had for this page. Now that had an immediate impact, because when a student came to this landing page, he or she saw that the Educational Institute is offering a lot of opportunities to interact with other students, to make friends, to have a good time, and it is not just about study, take the certification and go away, right? Which is what all the other competitors were doing. So this is something that helped a lot. It helped immensely in terms of belongingness, creating a community. Fear of missing out. Right. This is a very common marketing tactic that is used across businesses, and this had to be used. Right. If a landing page is not using this, if a business is not using this, if an advertising is not using this, then they are also missing out on something. So creating scarcity. Now, in most of the cases, scarcity, in some of the cases, scarcity is really genuine, right? I mean, the Education Institute has only 20 seats left or 10 seats left, right? But in many of the cases, that is not the case, but still scarcity has to be created, because fear is one of the key sentiments on which a lot of advertising and marketing is driven. Now, here in this case, it was a simple concept, and we took up this concept and we started using it on the page. After several iterations, the technique that really worked, fear of missing out, was again a very simple one, which was, sign up date was 3 days from the current date. Right? So it was a dynamic date that was placed on the page. So for example, if it's 21st of July 2017 right now, and if you go to the landing page, you would see that the last date for application is 24th July 2017, which means that there is a scarcity in terms of time. Now, scarcity will not be only in terms of the number of seats available. It can be in terms of time. It can be in terms of pricing also. You can also say that early bird offer available only to sign up in the next 15 minutes, in the next 15 hours, for example. So there are various ways of creating scarcity, which essentially creates a fear of missing out. Another thing that really worked on this page was, creating scarcity is fine, but you have to show that people are missing out. So a way of showing that is that the Education Institute across India had about 5,000 seats, and we would say that 98% of the seats are already filled up. which means that about 4,900 seats are already filled up, and there are only 100 seats left. So you will miss out, and there are 4,900 students who would take up this course, who would get the certificate, who would get a job, and who would essentially go towards the career path they want to go, and you will miss out. That was a very subtle way of saying that you don't sign up now, don't fill up this inquiry form now, you are going to miss out. Uh, Now, it again had a lot of impact on the page. A lot of students who are in a dilemma, right? That should I take this course? Should I not take this course? And so on. They immediately filled up the form because they also realized that they don't want to miss out. Number one. Number two, they realized that there was nothing, there was no harm in terms of filling up a form. It's not that they have signed up. It's not that they have paid the money. It's not that they have to attend the classroom tomorrow. It is just filling up a simple form, and that would ensure that they would not miss out right now. So sales is always a step-by-step process. This was the first step. The first step was essentially making a student fill up a form. The second step was the customer service or the sales rep team calling the student and getting him or her to agree to visit the campus. And the third step, the final step, was enrolling at the campus, and the fees to be paid at the campus itself. So it was essentially a broad three-step process. Every step is important. For every step, these concepts apply. Uh, Here we are talking about online, so we are talking about how do we implement steps online. But essentially, the sales team or the people at the campus would also perform these activities in one way or the other. Moving on, guilt, right? So another scenario that we observed was that we have to show future to the students, right? It is not just a standard landing page where you show the features, where you show a few images, where you show the inquiry form and so on. You have to show them future because you want to invoke certain emotions in the student. Now, future is usually shown with us. It can be shown by a video, it can be shown by image, it can be shown by a sentence. Usually what we've seen is a very simple sentence works best. What if you would not take this course and all your friends would move ahead in career. Okay? So that put in a nice marketing language, that is the message that we had put across in a nice marketing language just on top of the inquiry form. And that had immediate results. Right? So a student would read that, and imagine, it's not just reading, he would also imagine that, suppose I just close the window, I will not fill up this form, I will go ahead, I will do something else, I will, whatever, I will go for a movie, I will party, I will maybe pick up some other course after some time and so on and so forth. But at the same time, there are a few friends of mine, there are a few people who are my age. They will fill up the form, they will go ahead and take this course, they will get the certification, they will get a job in a nice company, or they will start their own business and so on and so forth. They will move ahead just because I closed this window right now and I did not fill up the form. That is the feeling that has to be invoked in the landing page in as minimal a space as possible. Now on landing page, space is very, very important. Right? If you look at a landing page, there are essentially two sections. One is above the scroll and second is below the scroll. Now what that means is that when you open the landing page, the first thing that you see on the page without scrolling down is above the scroll, and once you scroll down, everything is below the scroll. So above the scroll is most important. That is where all the decisions are taken. Below the scroll is only and only to support the decision that you have taken. So it's a well-known fact that you take a decision first about buying or purchasing or doing any action, and then you justify it. So above the scroll is limited space. There is already some image. There is name of the code. There is logo. There is an inquiry form. There are tons of other things. Space is of immense value over there. We have to see that how minimum space can deliver the maximum impact. The page should not look very cluttered. The page should not, it should not feel that there is so much of information on the page that you cannot focus on any particular section. You have to have the primary areas on the page where you want the student to focus or the visitor to focus. That is the first impression. Then the student should look at second thing, third thing, and so on. That is where heat maps come in. But in this presentation, we are not going to talk about tools and technologies. We are purely talking about some of the marketing concepts that can be applied. So my point is that space is of importance. So that is why we have to be very precise in terms of what to use and what is the impact it has in terms of conversion rate. The next point is why, how, and what. Right? This is again very, very important. Why are we selling this course? How you can take it, and what is there in this course. Now, why talks about the Education Institute? What is the philosophy? What is the concept? What is their mission and vision? Why are they offering this course? How explains the specifics, right? The three-step process that I told you. First, fill up the form. Second, our customer support will call you. Third, visit the campus, sign up, and then the course begins. This is the duration of the course. These are the things that are covered, and so on. What is more about the details of the course, the curriculum of the course, and I'll talk about what in a little more detail on a later slide. But what I want to mention is that these three things are very, very important when you are selling something, and when a student comes on the landing page, he should get an idea of all these three things. Okay. Next point is very, very important. It's called instant gratification. It's now or never. So nowadays, what happens is that everyone looks for instant gratification. Right? I don't want to wait for a day or 2 days or 3 days or a month for an action that I perform today. Right? If I filled up a form and tomorrow I get a call, that's already too late for me. This is something that we realize that has happened a lot in terms of such landing pages. Usually, the process is that you fill up you fill up an inquiry form, you enter your contact details. Those are submitted to the sales team, and the sales team collects all of them at the end of the day. And next day, they start calling the people who have filled up the form. What we realize is that the shorter the time duration between filling up a form and calling the person, the better the chances of conversion. This is because what happens is that today in the world of internet or advertising or marketing or technology or whatever you call it, we have so much amount of distractions or entertainment options available that our mindset changes so quickly. Right now, you might be in the mindset of listening to this webinar. After 15 minutes or after 30 minutes or after 1 hour, I have no idea what you will be doing. You have no idea what you will be doing. Some of you might have an idea, but that exact moment, your mindset will not be about listening to this webinar or recollecting thoughts about this webinar or talking about landing pages or conversion rates and so on and so forth. At that time, if you get an information related to conversion rate, you may not take it so much as much you can take it right now. So that was the concept. What we said was, let's give instant gratification to the students. As soon as they fill up the form, within 30 seconds, we will call them. The customer support team will call them. So we started using a technology that would immediately place a call to the customer support team and the student who filled up the form. Within 30 seconds, they would get connected, and the conversion rates were phenomenal in this case. It was a simple use of technologies. So marketing is never just marketing alone. It has to be supported with a lot of technology, and this was a very simple tool that we had used. Going ahead, social proof. Now, social proof is again a very simple marketing concept. It has been used in many places, and it is usually so subtle that people don't even notice it. So, for example, uh, social proof is testimonials on the page. Social proof is the kind of companies who take the students after the certification course is done. Social proof is that 98% of our students got a job offer while they were still taking the course. Social proof uh, essentially says that the society is the proof that we are a great course, we are successful, we are experts, and that is the reason you should take this course. This is again a very important concept, and it has a huge impact. Right? Usually, we would believe data, especially when presented by real people, by real testimonials, or by average numbers, which can be backed up by businesses. Those are again very important, and they essentially add a lot of value to the overall conversion rate of the page. Moving ahead, building trust, again a very important concept that has to be used. Now, building trust is uh, uh, sometimes it's very tricky. Sometimes even the simplest of things can take away the trust. It can be a simple word. It can be a simple sentence. It can be a fake image. It can be a slow loading of the website or anything that can take away trust. Losing trust is very easy, and building trust is very difficult. But one of the ways that I've seen building trust is very easy is expose your weakness. As a business, if you expose your weakness and tell that we are experts, but sorry, we don't do this. Or for example, in the case of educational institute, they would clearly say that we are the experts, we are the best, we are we offer one of the best job guarantees. But if the course that we are offering is only offering these 5 topics, and it is not offering these 6, 7, and 8 topics, that is not being covered. And when you specifically mention that I am not giving you this, that has an immediate impact. That has a huge impact in terms of trust, because then the student or the visitor of the website sees that there's a huge transparency. The educational institute is transparent, it is honest, it is truthful, and thus trustworthy. Trust, again, I did not say trust is the most important element in terms of any sales, and that is why you have to build trust when you're on a landing page. To be state, I've already talked about it a little. You have to show them in terms of the future. I've talked about it in the negative side, which was guilt. Now I'll talk about it in the positive side, which is you're giving them a life-changing offer. The offer can be that you be assured that you will be placed in a company which is an MNC. Be assured that you will have at least 5 to 6 job interviews. Be assured that you will have a career which is far beyond what you have right now or what you can think of right now, because of our past, because most of our students have been successful and so on. Show them what they will get after they complete the course. Value creation. Now, value creation is another very important concept. It is about perceived benefits. Now, I can talk whole day about this is the course that I'm offering. This is uh, these are the features. Every seminar will be 15 will be 1 hour. You will have 5 days of seminars. You will have 2 days of live practice, and I can talk about all these elements. But I have to talk more about value. What is the value that is being created? And value is usually something that is not a feature, but it has to be highlighted separately. So the benefit. So for example, the benefit is that you will interact with like-minded people, and we will form a mastermind. Now this is a perceived benefit. This is a value that is being offered. you will get a certification that is valid for life, or that is valid for the next 6 years. Then, as a student of the education institute, you will get the next course as a priority registration. You will be able to register for it for priority. You will get benefits of classroom coaching with students, with amenities. Amenities can be, for example, it can be as simple as an AC hall. It can be as simple as, there are 5 slots available every day, and you can choose the timing that at which you want to come, and so on and so forth. So you have to look at these values, and these values and benefits are customized a lot. These again go and tie back to the first slide that I shared about traffic source. Now, if I know that a person is interested in reading, then I will show a value that we have a great library. If I know that a student is interested in sports, then I will show that the campus has a great sports facility, and so on and so forth. That is where the impact is huge, because I am working with an individual, and not a generic set of prospects. Cause, creating a common enemy. Now, this is something that works very, very well. Creating a common enemy. What do I mean by this? Right? Today, most of the students who are just passed out, say of school, they don't have a college, they don't have a job. Some of them have a job, but they're not very happy in the job, and so on and so forth. All of them are not happy because they're not able to get the amount of money that they want. They're not able to. They don't have the jobs that some of their friends have. They don't have that kind of a lifestyle where they get a lot of money every month and they can spend, and so on and so forth. So they're not happy. They have been either rejected by companies, or they have joined some companies and they're not happy in their jobs, and so forth. So they are all in a way not happy with the companies for which they are working, or who have rejected them. Now, companies are not the enemies of the education institutes, but a marketing message says that let the companies come and offer you a job instead of you going to the companies and hunting for a job. That says that we will make sure that there is a common enemy. We will help you fight the companies. We will make sure that the companies come to you and do select the companies on your terms instead of the other way around. Curiosity, make them take the next step. Now, curiosity is something that is used when there are multiple steps involved in a sales cycle. For example, you would say that fill up the form now and be eligible to win a lucky offer. You're not telling what the offer is. You're not telling more details, but you're just saying that why don't you fill up the form, and there's something interesting waiting for you at the next step. So that is creating curiosity. Novelty, again, you have to have something unique. There are 10 and 15 and 20 and lots of other competitors who are offering the same course, who have so many things. Now, most of the things that you talked about till now are novelty, and they are unique, right? So you can use any of those, or you can still, if you have something which is really unique and which is something which you have and no other institute has, then display it. For example, you can say that you have a faculty that is that has an average experience of more than 20 years of teaching. So that is something very unique, and so on, right? So like I said at the start of the presentation, we will not talk about each and every element of landing page optimization or conversion rate optimization. I will just share a few examples. These examples I've used in a lot of projects. I've seen them work in, and almost always they work, right? And I've listed them down in my book anyway. They are available in much more detail over there. But the idea of this presentation was that I want you to understand that when someone comes to your website, you have to optimize your website, you have to optimize your landing page, you have to optimize your conversion rates so that you get the maximum conversions, your cost per conversion goes down, and your profitability increases more and more. Uh, Another important aspect that I want to talk about very briefly is measurements. Right? What should we measure? Right. So during all this, now one of the questions that you might have is that since there are so many changes, how do we make sure that we know what is working and what is not working? So let me take a very simple example, right? Of image A and image B as the main image on the landing page. Now with image A there, my conversion rate was 2%. I implement image B and I see that the conversion rate is 2.5%. So I immediately know that image B is working better than image A. I start using image B where my conversion rate is now 2.5%. That optimization is done. Now I take up the next set. I say that in the inquiry form, should I keep 3 fields or should I keep 4 fields for the user to fill? Now with 3 fields, the conversion rate is 2.5%. Let me put 4 fields. When I put 4 fields, the conversion rate comes down to 2.3%. So I say no, I will continue with 3 fields because that gives me a higher conversion, 0.5%. Then that optimization is done. Then I say that let me pick up the next set, which is should I add the name of the companies who come for recruitment? Right now, without that, the conversion rate is 2.5%. Once I added that, conversion rate shoots up to 4%. So I said definitely yes, this has to be there, and I keep that option and reject the previous option. So that is called A/B testing. That is a very simple method of optimization. But what you have to know is what is your goal, what is your conversion. Now a conversion can be anything. It can be for example search on the page. You want a user to search on the landing page for a specific term. You want a user to click somewhere. You want to measure the time spent by the user, by the visitors on the page. You want to measure the bounce rate, so on and so forth. And then the ones that are related to business are lead and sales, because that is what matters the most to the business. So that is all I had in terms of presentation. We will obviously discuss the questions, but here's a quick practice which I want all of you to have, and it won't take much time because it's a very simple practice, and I want all of you to just quickly perform these steps, right? What I want is I want you to go to Google and search for certification in project management. I want you to click on one of the ads or one of the links that come up, the first few links. Then I want you to go to the landing page. I want you to see what is the #1 conversion goal of that page. Is it a lead? Is it a sale? Is it a search? And so on. And then I want you to think of 5 improvements that you can do on that page so that the conversion rate improves. And then of course we can discuss all of that. So we can, Divya, do we have 10 minutes for the practice?
Yes, we can give out 5 minutes for the practice. We can start next at 3:50.
Okay.
Next 7 minutes can go into practice.
Sure. All right.
I think we can move forward.
All right. Sure. So I think that's all I had for the presentation. We can shift over to the questions and any doubts that there might be available.
Sure. So everyone, you can put in your questions in the question panel on the right hand side, and we'll pick up queries one by one. And also, what you want to have your inputs regarding if you're interested in a digital marketing course, just fill in the poll on the screen, and the team will get in touch with you with all the details. So moving forward to the first question, Nikhil wants to know that he thinks that value creation is a work with respect to the product itself and not to other aspects like library or sports activity for training centers. Can you please help me understand what exactly you mean over here?
Sure. So you're correct in a way, Nikhil, that the first value creation or the primary value creation is the main product or the service or the offering. But when we compare competitors, when all the competitors have the same sort of a product or the offering, then we look at how do we personalize the value creation. So, for example, let's come back to the same example of the education institute course. Let's say they're offering a certification in Java. Now, the course is the same, the duration is the same, the product is pretty much the same. So, the primary value is pretty much the same. Now, what additional value can we give so that the student signs up with us instead of someone else? That is essentially what I was talking about in the present.
Thank you. Moving forward to Mayur's question, he's saying that he belongs from immigration industry and wants to grab qualified lead from market. How can he do it? Can you share some suggestions?
Okay. Sorry, what was it? Immigration industry, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So, immigration industry, again, you have to understand your profile in a little more detail. The first step is understanding your profile. Now, if I go back to the traffic source slide, over there, and let me just open that also for you. Over here, what you look is that, who are your active target and who's the passive target. Now, you need to understand what are the keywords that they are searching for, uh, where are they available, what are the locations, when are they searching, and so on and so forth. You have to understand their demographics, age, gender, location, their interests, life events, and so on and so forth. This happens when you start capturing that data and when you start understanding. So, for example, you do a set of Google ads and you do a set of Facebook ads and capture this data. Now, you understand that, okay, the age range is this, the gender ratio is this, the interest, these are the most common interests, these are the things that people, uh, uh, then you are able to segment and target your profile better. And once you've done that, then you go by step in terms of the activities that are performed in this presentation. So, for example, you've now done that, I understand my audience. Now, what is it that will create a community for them? Is it a center that you will create for all the immigrants in the particular country where they can connect and they can discuss topics and they can not feel lonely, or is it something else? You need to talk about fear of missing out, you need to talk about guilt, and so on and so forth. All the concepts that are available over here. But once you've identified your target audience, once you've identified what are their needs, once you've identified what are they looking for, what are their personal interests, and so on and so forth, then you apply each and every concept that is mentioned in this presentation, and then you see what is working for you. Okay.
Got it. Thanks so much. Yugendra wants to know, can you suggest him how to capture leads of parents who are having age group of 50 plus and not really active on internet?
Okay. So there are various methods. Right? Today also, if you want to capture leads, they're not very active. Then some other methods that work is to give a missed call. So you advertise via pamphlets, you advertise in newspapers, you advertise on video or any other offline medium, and then some of the methods for lead capturing is send an SMS with your name and email or your name and uh, uh, the phone number is anyway available. So you can do an SMS, you can do a missed call, you can do a very simple form where you just enter the name of. Today, most of the people are available on Facebook. Facebook has come up with a very simple lead ad where you don't need to fill up any information. It automatically captures your name and email and phone number and submits to the advertiser. You just have to click that you confirm you are okay submitting that information. So there are lots of ways available. You can use whatever is most convenient and most economical for you.
Got it. Thank you. Raghavendra wants to know in B2B businesses, how can we use belongingness, fear of missing out, web and optimize the same for more lead generation?
Okay, I didn't understand which business.
B2B.
B2B. Okay. So in B2B also you can use belongingness, right? So for example, you are a company who's offering say software as a platform, right? So for example, software is an accounting software. Now, you want to use belongingness. Belongingness is that why pay a huge amount to accountants and CAs and staff in tens and 50,000s and so on every month, where you can use the software. So you connect the community together and find out the common cause, the common issue, and address that. So you identify the problem today is that most of the businessmen don't understand accounting, for example, in detail. They don't understand taxation. They don't understand the laws around that. Here is a software that will solve all your problems, right? Uh, so that creates a community. Fear of missing out. You can say that, for example, uh, if you are not going to use the software, like 6 months down the line, you would have paid a few lakh rupees to the CAs or the chartered account CAs or accountants. You might have missed out on some taxes. You might have some penalties, and you might have some fines because of delayed tax submissions and so on and so forth. You may not be updated. Right? And that is why you should start using the software today. Otherwise, you will miss out on the amount of profit that you can make and be involved in these operational issues and so on and so forth. So again, I'm coming back to the same idea. You have to understand your audience very well. Once you understand your audience, you will automatically know what are their problems, where are they coming from, what is the business opportunity, what will they miss out on if they don't use your software, what will they gain if they use your product or offering, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Thank you. Moving to next question. In FMCG articles like ice cream, chocolates, we have these consumer offers and contests. How can a person optimize such contests on Facebook, especially as these product segments are children oriented? Targeting moms is necessary. They may not be online all the time.
Okay. So again, you can optimize on Facebook. The optimization is very specific. You can identify your target audience in very detailed segmentation. You can say that I want to show the ad to a person who's of this age, who's of this gender, who's in this particular location. Location can be even pin code specific. Uh, uh, who has this type of interest, who has had this kind of life event, who has this much of educational background, who has who has liked these kind of pages, who has this kind of a device in terms of mobile, who has this kind of a connection in terms of 4G or 3G and 2G, and so on and so forth. So the amount of segmentation is huge. Once you understand who's your target audience, you can very easily customize your ad and show only to that audience, and the offer can be seen by those people and they can essentially avail the offer. Your targeting becomes very specific, and thus your quality of the users who see the ad is very high. It's very relevant to your business. Okay.
Got it. Thank you so much, Advait, for leading the session and answering all the queries. We are complete this session today. And for the people who joined in late or want to refer back to the session again, we'll send out the recording to you over an email along with the presentation, latest by Tuesday. It will be delivered to your inbox, so you can refer to the recording at a later stage. And thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a
Thanks, Divya.
great weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.